My everyday life, I was like counting down the hours and like really noticing that every meeting felt like I just didn't want to go, and I didn't even really care about the result of my sale. I didn't even care about hitting my numbers or being over plan. None of that really felt good to me. I feel way more passionate about what I'm doing, and I find that the day doesn't drag on quite like it used to when I was selling something that I didn't have as much passion for. Hi, my name is Lizzie. I'm a friend, foodie, dog mom, and territory sales manager in medical device. So I've been in medical sales for 3 years now. I'm now a device representative for a GI company. Basically, I advise colorectal surgeons and gastroenterologists on how to work our devices. Our devices are mainly disposables, but we do in-service the entire staff down to the techs, to the nurses, and eventually the surgeons and the doctors themselves. We're inside the procedure room offering advice and instructing and demonstrating to the doctors how our device is best used to ultimately support our patient and give them the best result. A typical day for me starts pretty early. The endo room is firing off pretty early in the morning. So on a day that we're trialing products, I first arrive at the facility and I help educate everyone that will be in the procedure about our device. So I usually start with the technicians and then work my way to the nurses, and then advise the doctor. And when my conversations are with the doctor, it's just a little bit more detailed, and I make sure that they have a full understanding of our device prior to deployment, after it's been deployed, and then of course like what the next few weeks look like for the patient and the possible outcomes of our device and how it's used. And usually working with up to one doctor individually to every doctor on staff that day. So that can be sometimes like 3 to 4 doctors in a day. And you're just weaving in and out of cases as you're needed. My first couple months on the job was really me giving introductions and just trying to build a trust that even reps before me in my company had already established. So even though they knew my company, they had to really get to know me in order to trust me in a procedure room. And I had to learn that, and took me, I'd say, a solid 9 months to get there. And then once I got there, now I feel like my day is way more busy, and I think I'm actually like happier in my day because I think I actually feel like I'm like delivering a purpose behind our product instead of just rattling it off all the time and just trying to promote it so much. So my dad was a dentist, and he had 3 practices growing up, which was extremely impressive. 30% of his practice was kids with special needs, so he had a lot of passion behind everything that he did. I'm the youngest of 4. I have 3 older brothers. 2 of them are attorneys. And it was either I was gonna go dental or I was gonna go to law school like them. And to my dad's dismay, I was just really bad at chemistry, so never really had, and never really saw myself going into dentistry after I got my first chem grade back. So I always thought law school, and I went through college picking a major that I thought could maybe translate well into law. And then I was a junior and I studied for the LSAT, and I took the LSAT, and my dad got my results for me and came into my room and said, well, you know, this just might not be your path because I completely bombed the LSAT. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm never gonna be a professional like my dad or like a lot of my family members, and then I'm never gonna be a lawyer. I'm never gonna be either a dentist or a lawyer. It just wasn't in the cards for me. But my dad had seen a lot of reps come in and out of his office as a dentist, a lot of dental reps, and he said, I think there are so many different ways for you to be successful. It doesn't just have to be through a professional career or but by being a licensed professional. And I really took his advice, and I started thinking, okay, it might be medical sales. And I started with ADP. I had heard that ADP had the best sales training, and I think that proved to be true. I learned really hard work at ADP. In fact, I graduated on like the Saturday. I was like Saturday in May, and then the next Monday I was at work working for ADP, and I was just really, it was a lot of long hours, a lot of calls, a lot of no's, but I really learned the sales process and saw it through. But then I just didn't really have a ton of passion for what I was selling. And I really thought that I knew I was good at sales, but I thought I could be really good at sales if I felt something for what I was selling. So I saw actually an ad on LinkedIn go through for a dental position in a dental lab, and I had always remembered my dad's interactions with his dental labs and how vital they are to a practice. And I just decided to go for it. And when I got that job, I really felt like I was entering a whole new industry where the sales process was going to be backed with some passion. And I loved my time in dental, but I really learned that I loved sitting chairside. I loved, in dental it's called an operatory, but I figured I really wanted to be in an OR or a procedure room. I thought maybe I'd enjoy a hospital environment. So I took to really researching more medical device sales positions, and that's when I found this position with my company now, and I'm in disposable devices. We do have a few reusable and a few even diagnostic testing in our company, so I feel like there's a lot of different avenues I can go, but I feel so good to have my foot in the door in a medical device company. It certainly feels like I get to sit around professionals just like my dad all day long, and I feel this sense of professionalism. I feel this sense of pride in my career that I always imagined having in that role of being a doctor or being a lawyer. So that was really important for me to be able to hold on to, and I feel like I've at least achieved that. And you know, I'm young, but I hope I can kind of continue that confidence and continue that pride in my career. Something I learned from ADP that has helped me in medical sales is the art of a relationship and what it can mean and how it can impact your sales. You don't want to be this rep that they can smell on you that you're trying to go after a number, or that all you care about is your sales, or all you care about is making money. And let's face it, a lot of us are trying to make money, but I think that you become so much better of a partner and of a resource when you truly care about the longevity of your client or your patient or your physician's outcome, and you realize what they want and what they are looking for, what's important to them. And when you can touch on that and you can really start to care and develop a passion for that, the sales just automatically come. And I think that you can understand that that partnership can lead to so much more opportunity, and I think growing that partnership first, rather than thinking of it as growing an opportunity, is the most important piece. So learning that young will make you a good salesman, and it'll make people want to help you achieve your goals as well. The moment I knew that medical sales was it for me was honestly that first time I put on the scrubs and I was invited into the, well, for me it was an operatory, I was in dental, but getting invited into the OR, getting invited into the procedure room, there's an excitement to it. There's a fun element, and you feel important to the procedure, you feel important to the case, and it's a real team effort. I think sales is a huge team effort, but even just the day-to-day being in the room with technicians and nurses and doctors and technology even, you feel really in it, and you feel like there's a bigger purpose behind it. And I loved that feeling of putting on my scrubs, and you know, it's not about the fashion of it, it's not about the playing dress up or trying to feel like a doctor. It's really just knowing that you mean something to the case, and like, you know, what you're doing is helpful. And I think I felt that immediately in my dental job as soon as I started, even probably before I was as helpful as I am to my cases now. For me, the lobby has been a network of young professionals looking to get into medical sales or already in medical sales as representatives. It's a place where I can connect with other reps, but also find resources to be able to advance my career. And in the beginning, it helped me even apply to get into this career. The resources were endless with mentors and honestly, just people I can lean on in this industry who truly understand and who know the difficulties of it, but also know the goal and how rewarding it can be to encourage you to find the best place for you and to succeed in your role. I think I would tell anyone trying to get into my position that you really want to take your time and figure out who you are, what you want out of a career, what you want out of work-life balance, and you want to find a position that meets your needs just as much as you meet the requirements for that position. I really thought back then that I needed to be a lawyer to be successful, or I needed to be a dentist to be successful. And now, 5-10 years later, I've really seen that that's not the case. I feel like a successful career woman without either of those titles. And that's because of my career path and everything I did leading up to it. And there really wasn't any wrong decision. And I think a lot of people in med sales probably need to hear that, or that are trying to get into med sales need to hear that. Because I think that they feel like maybe they don't qualify, but I think there's a lot of career paths that qualify for this job, and you can get there in any way. And it's really just who you are that a lot of these companies and this career, a lot of who you are is what's gonna make you a successful rep.